This is TWiT. I think this is very good news for privacy in this country. Even if you have been arrested, the police still must seek, in most cases, a warrant before they can search your cell phone. And we know law enforcement actually has boxes they can plug into your phone and dump all the data off of it, and they do often routinely do that. But the Supreme Court ruled Wednesday that this is, you got to get a warrant. Is that good, Denise?
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yes.
Riley versus California is the case. Unanimous decision of the Supreme Court, which, you know, you get a lot of court watchers saying what that means and if it's really and truly unanimous, or if, as you suggest, Leo, they're just
wheeling and dealing behind the scenes. I'll trade you an Aereo for a cell phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yes, here we have the court actually really showing a good grasp of what new technologies mean and how they impact people's lives, and the difference between being able to search someone's pocket for a weapon or something else that might hurt an officer during an arrest, or something else that might be informationally important to the arrest, evidence that you could gather just by you know, finding
it's all
a
on
joint.
my phone.
Exactly. No, you're gonna find lots of evidence on somebody's phone, but it's gonna be stuff that not only could convict them, that is gonna be a lot of other stuff too.
So the case was a guy who was stopped for a traffic violation.
Mm-hmm.
They, I guess, must have, given the probable cause, seen weapons. He was arrested on weapons charges. The officer searching him seized a phone from his pants pocket. The officer accessed information on the phone, noticed the repeated use of a term associated with a street gang. At the police station 2 hours later, a detective specializing in gangs further examined the phone's contents. Based on photographs and videos, the detective found the state charged the petitioner in connection with a shooting that had occurred a few weeks earlier and sought an enhanced sentence based on gang membership. He was convicted, then appealed. California Court of Appeals affirmed, but the
California Supreme Court.
And the California Supreme Court, but not the United States Supreme Court. Unanimously, they said that was unlawful search and seizure. So what do we need to do now as citizens if we are stopped by the police and they say, "Can I have your phone?" Should we just say no?
Yeah, you could.
You
could
smash
say,
it right in front of them.
I'll say, you know, in Riley versus the state of California,
smashing it. Not
you
such a
eat
good
it.
idea.
You eat the phone.
You could have obstruction charges against you under those kinds of circumstances.
Don't do that either. Okay.
But yeah, without a warrant, they can't search your
Actually,
phone. So
if you've done something wrong, give them the phone. Let them say, "Oh, officer, no, you're not allowed to search that, but here," and then they'll throw the whole thing out of court. Chief Justice Roberts wrote, "Modern cell phones," I love this, "are not just another technological convenience. With all they contain and all they may reveal, they hold for many Americans the privacies of life. The fact that technology now allows an individual to carry this in his hand does not make the information any less worthy of protection." I love that. That's right on.
And I also like how he said that the term cell phone itself is pretty much outdated, and that these are effectively cameras or journals or, you know, any sort of thing that should and is normally protected by law. And I thought that was a great point that he made as well.
So this is, according to the Daily Dot, this review reverses a 5 decades old interpretation of the law that allowed arresting officers to search suspects' pockets, phones, and anything else within his or her reach. So this is kind of new law.
Yes,
so
definitely.
wait, they are allowed
it's
to.
just not
They
the
were.
same as a pocket. Yeah, and they can still, you know, the seat of your car, your pocket. They can pat you down. You know, if the safety concern of the officers has always been behind, you can go ahead and do a search incident to arrest. But if you're going to search a cell phone, this decision says you're going to need to get a warrant. And law enforcement was not wild about this decision and fought it because they said, well, particularly in today's day and age, getting a warrant's not going to be effective because what if someone just, you know, you've got Apple, they've got this great remote wipe, Android does it too. We're going to have our evidence destroyed. And the court, really showed a nice grasp not only of the nature of the cell phone, but of how these things work in the decision. It talks about as to remote wiping, there are means to address that. First of all, you could turn the phone off. Then it can't be wiped. Bear that in mind, law enforcement officers. And also, you could use a Faraday bag. Would you ever have expected to see the word Faraday bag in a U.S. Supreme Court decision?
The fact that they know such a thing exists is awesome.
Isn't
Obviously, it was some smart clerk, right, who wrote this decision.
Such devices are commonly called Faraday bags,
Wow.
after the English scientist Michael Faraday.
Ooh,
they are essentially sandwich bags made of aluminum foil, cheap, lightweight, and easy to use. And to show you, then they cite the brief of the criminal law professors that was filed as an amicus brief. So they're reading their briefs and they know what this stuff is.
Or a clerk is, yes.
Yes. This may not be a complete answer to the problem, but at least for now, they provide a reasonable response. And they talk about that not only that law enforcement agencies know what Faraday bags are and use them and encourage officers to use them, but they talk about the fact that a warrant's a lot easier to get than it used to be too. And that
unfortunately.
And that a lot of law enforcement officers can can rely on like a 15-minute electronic email response to a request for a warrant. So we're not talking about a whole lot of hoops that need to be jumped through here.
The Daily Dot says, in answer to the question, what should you do? Lock your phone with a passcode. If your phone is locked and or encrypted, according to the ACLU, the police may take your phone, may try to look at it unconstitutionally, but they won't be able to.
They can't force you to put your finger on the identification.
Yeah. If you forgot to lock your phone and don't feel like it, then calmly and respectfully, this'll work. Tell the officer his search is in violation of the Constitution under the court's Riley decision.
Yeah, I mean, that Daily Dot article has some great advice about saying, look, if you want to search my phone, you need a warrant for that. If they want to go ahead, though, and do it, that same article says, just go ahead and let them do it. You know what the law is. And,
but you should out loud state, I do not consent to this search, and make sure the witnesses hear it. I want to make this clear. I do not consent to this search, because then whatever they find is inadmissible.
I got a good question from someone on Twitter along these lines. His name was Mark Jones. And he was sort of keying into the fact that not only, do we keep everything on our cell phones, but we have things like boarding passes. And in his particular case, I guess, his insurance card for, showing that he has auto insurance on his cell phone. And asking, if you show that to an officer on your phone, are you giving up your privacy rights to anything else on the phone? I certainly don't think so. First of all, you have to be, if you're under arrest, is the only way that there could even be an issue about an officer's ability to search your phone without a warrant. And just handing an officer an unlocked phone to show a particular item on there, I don't think is communicating consent to search the phone. But again, you might want to say when you're handing the phone over, hey, I don't consent to you searching the whole phone.
I also might mention that the Electronic Frontier Foundation and the ACLU have pages called Know Your Rights, where you can print a PDF about what the police can and cannot do, I presume updated thanks to this most recent decision, and also a PDF of tips when confronted by the police. The thing I want to emphasize, this is not designed to, somehow get gang members off, because the police do have the ability to ask for a warrant, to put the thing in a Faraday box. There's a lot, if there really is a crime, the police can pursue it. This is to protect our privacy against an overreaching police state. And this is good. Tips for talking to the police. I hope it's... there's a great, long YouTube video by You Should Never, Ever Talk to the Police. That I recommend. I refer you to without recommending it. I refer you to if you want to know more. I certainly made sure my kids knew it.